Like, criticism of Christians falls apart the minute you out yourself to believing that Jesus was a brown hippie. Go to church. By the strictest definitions, I guess no, Jesus was not a hippie because hippies did not exist in the Greco-Roman era. But when you look at how Jesus lived his life and preached, Jesus told us to love one another, to honor those who society rejects, to be introspective about your own actions before casting judgment, and to look after the poor and widowed. Those things were radical concepts at his time and are radical now, some 2,000 years later. But it's also important to look at Jesus' teachings within the context of the time period. A lot of the things that Jesus was telling his followers to do were passive-aggressive actions meant to directly oppose Jerusalem's Roman colonizers. So Jesus literally meant turn your other cheek when a Roman soldier slaps you, because that would force the Roman soldier who did the slapping to break proper slapping etiquette, which was one open palm slap to the face, or to hit you properly, which would be hitting you twice, treating you as an equal instead of someone that they are subjugating. Or say someone that you owe a debt to took you to court and is going to take all of your possessions. Jesus said to literally include the shirt off of your back so that the greed of your debtor is causing you to commit the crime of public nudity. Or when a soldier would force you to carry his equipment, per the Roman law at the time, Jesus said to literally go the extra mile with him, carry his bags beyond the distance that the law stipulated, and that would make the action in and of itself illegal. So the context always matters, and it's important to know that Jesus, in his time period, was radical and rebellious. We also want to consider Jesus' teachings about wealth and money. Our current economic system, capitalism, is a system in which enterprises are usually privately owned by a small group of individuals who control a great portion of the wealth because they own the means of production. If Jesus rejected the accumulation of wealth within his lifetime, then he certainly would have rejected capitalism as it centers around the accumulation of wealth by capitalists. Jesus was also an active member of the church, but he actively spoke out against the religious traditions as well as the hypocrisy of the other religious leaders at the time. In summary, Jesus owned few possessions. He was a simple carpenter for most of his life. He spent a lot of time in nature. He wandered from place to place. He preached peace and love. He encouraged simple living. He actively participated in celebrations that used intoxicating substances. He hung out with what were considered the lowest classes of society. He was anti-establishment and he made sure people knew about that. And he lived a fairly radical lifestyle. The Bible itself has been used to justify so much violence and destruction. Yet when you look at the way Jesus himself lived and his messages, he seems like a hippie to me.